So I'm Tom Gray. I represent the Socialist Party of England and Wales, and my goal really is to just spread socialism around North Devon and to sort of just ignite the passion that people do have for a better world, really.
So, if you could explain briefly, for people who aren't very familiar with the idea, what is socialism in its basic terms? How would you explain it?
So socialism, for me, is a theory that was based around the works of Marx, Engels, Lenin and Trotsky. And it's basically about giving workers the power to take control, to have a more centralised economy that can be used to fund the social needs more, and for production to be based on the need rather than greed.
So where does the name actually originate from, militant? Because at first glance it seems rather violent, although there is no record of your party ever being violent.
No, I mean it's more just a metaphorical violence, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's a word quite often used within the sort of socialist language as well.
So why do you think socialism has had a bad name historically? Like, when people think of socialism, they instantly get that connection with communism, dictatorship, death, famine. There's a lot of history behind socialism.
Definitely. Well, first of all, I'd start by saying what happened in Russia or China or Cuba isn't even communism, never mind socialism. It's more what I call Stalinism, and so what that is it's everything that communism was supposed to be, but instead of the workers taking charge, it's headed by a new ruler.
Do you think it's that trying to implement communism or socialism that has gone wrong?
Yeah, I mean, so in these countries we've had revolutions which should be looked on as amazing things, because this is really workers fighting against the establishment and winning. But they've been betrayed after that, because then what's happened is they've just ended up with a new ruling class. And that's what people see when they look at historical socialism. They see a dictator rather than a democracy, and obviously that's not what we...
It's not what your values really are. So why do you think socialism hasn't mainstream success? With media, ideas spread fast.
Well, that's easy. I mean, the mainstream media we use is all run by capitalists, and if they were to indulge in a positive way towards socialism in any way, they'd start to empower workers, basically, and if that were to happen, they wouldn't be able to exploit anymore, and then they would lose the wealth that they have, you know, the unnecessary wealth.
Is it true that the Socialist Party is fielding members in the next election?
It is. So there are some this year, such as the Bristol mayor election. For North Devon, it won't be until next year, May, which is the county council elections, and there's 8 seats up for grabs in North Devon, but how many will field for them is uncertain.
I think splitting away from Labour and refielding candidates will split up the left-wing side of the country and cause Labour to lose votes, such as UKIP did to the Conservatives.
Yeah, I mean, but it's clear that Labour are going to slide to the right, and so for us, whether it would be Labour or Tories that were in power wouldn't be good enough.
It's about values and morals, is it? Yeah.
So rather, we have to be the ones that come in and fight, and we have to try and take those working class Tory voters.
Yeah. One of your party's most controversial policies is that you want to nationalise all top 150 UK businesses. Some would say this is a distinctly communist move, as this would be moving towards a centralised planned economy.
Yeah, well, it is It is to set up a centralised planned economy. But the difference is that it's run by the workers, not a dictator. So is it communist or not? I don't think it really matters, because at the end of the day, it's never been done before, and it's empowerment to the workers. And with the funding with the profits you get from these companies, you can then just completely reinvest all of that into the social things that we need, such as housing, at the NHS, you name it.
Do you believe there's a chance that the Socialist Party will actually win some seats?
Definitely.
Definitely.
Yeah. We've got the fight in us, and there is the need for this because the mainstream political parties just aren't enough. There's so many different issues going around.
How do you reckon you will encourage new membership into the Socialist Party?
So in North Devon, it's harder because, well, within Barnstable, people are close. People see these issues day in, day out. You know, we're riddled with drug abuse and poverty. So it's just for the smaller towns, it's easy because it's just about getting your message, showing how you can help and that you are to be trusted. But for the countryside areas, these areas that are quite cut off to the rest, we have to say, you know, if you are fortunate enough to benefit from right-wing economics, then, you know, think, well, maybe on a left-wing economic plan, I'd earn less money, well, not earn less money, but I'd be paying more money in taxes and such. But that will be used for something good, and so, you know, use your vote for the vulnerable people you know, not yourself.
Yeah. Well, what would you say that the Socialist Party could actually do for the working class people of Britain, the 3 million people that live under the poverty line?
Well, in North Devon or Britain as a whole?
Britain as a whole.
Well, to give them power and control, it takes away a big CEO check, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And then that can actually be shared around the workers to create a fairer work environment as well. But in the meantime, because, you know, that's not something you can just jump into, in the meantime, it's about doing the smaller steps like increasing minimum wage, investment in social housing, better NHS, you know, it's endless. But
to my understanding, your party is anti-European Union. Is that true?
Strongly, yeah.
So how do you justify that stance?
Well, first of all, I mean, I will say that we want, well, I want at least the EU just to be killed off. It's completely about withholding neoliberal economics, which means cheap labour, cheap products. About, you know, it's about create, which also it's bad for workers, it's bad for the environment, the deforestation, the cheap labour. It just
isn't that global economics nowadays? They call it globalism, where all the countries are interlinked. It stops wars as countries are more reliant on each other.
Yeah, but I don't think that's justification for such unfair economics.
It's also our biggest trading partner. It's also our closest trading partner. Wouldn't you say that we'd be isolating ourselves from one of the biggest single markets in the world?
We would be, but again, it brings us into this whole centralised economy where we can actually rely on our own goods and we can make based on need.
So how will you stop the Socialist Party becoming corrupt?
Well, our leadership would stay democratic. Our policies are completely democratic. We always, each year, vote on what we believe needs to come in or taken away, for example. And yeah, we just, because we've been around so long, there's no one with that desire to corrupt what we've fought for, really. You know, it would really just, if we were to corrupt what we believe in, then it would be a lifetime of fight wasted.
Would your party accept being voted out of office if you had already been voted in through an election?
Of course, it's a democracy. That's how it works.
So you wouldn't take key points from the revolutionary side of your party?
No. I mean, we have to be a progressive party as well. We can't suddenly just, we have to be progressive and accept democracy.
If there was a violent revolution, wouldn't there be loss of lives comparable to the Russian Civil War or the Chinese famine or any of these things when implementing socialism into a previously capitalist country?
Yeah, of course there would be deaths. It's a big if. We're not really in a revolutionary time period. If it was the case that workers were starting to want a violent revolution, or at least that's the way they felt that this is how you change things, then of course we'd support them. But that's not going to happen, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, people would die just as in any war. It's about fighting and winning for those after us, though.
So would you say you appeal to the nationalised side of our country with your stance on the Brexit?
In the fact that we both want Brexit, but I think and the fact that we're against the bureaucracy of the EU, because it is literally just another ruling class above us, and I think working class feel that as well.
Yeah.
But in terms of maybe immigration, that was quite a heavy focus point. Then no, we don't support the views of UKIP or Brexit Party on immigration.
Well, thank you for your time, Tom. I really appreciate you coming on here and telling me more about the Socialist Party and Militant. I hope to speak to you again.
Yeah. Okay.